So I possibly skipped the most important part of the anatomy, which is the torso. The torso is where your chest, your breast, your abs, your pecs, everything, it's where it is, and it determines whether your character has a good body, a fit body, or a fat body. Anyways, we'll be drawing 4 torsos, right? A fit one and a normal one for both male and female. Also near the end I have 2 gifts for you. One is that there is going to be a tutorial on how to draw, as this guy would say it, fun bags, and another one you have to stay around to find out. Get a pencil and a paper, let's draw. So what you want to draw is a box, a rectangular box. This is the torso of the normal guy, and on top of the box you want to draw a smaller box, which is more of a square. This square in width should be a third of the bottom square. That's your neck. Now we need to divide your torso into thirds. Bottom third, at the bottom third of it, you want to draw a belly button. You can draw a C for it, or a line, or a curved line, doesn't really matter as long as we know it's a belly button from side. On your torso's middle third, you want to go to the upper third of the middle third, and this is where you'll find your nipples, or the lower pec. Don't overcomplicate the nipples, they're just sideway ovals. Now depending on how lean your character is, you may draw a line right in the middle below your chest. This is for the lean or skinny characters. Characters on the chubbier side, you don't draw the line. In fact, on the bottom 2/3 of their frame, you want to draw lines that are going outside, curved lines that are going outside. Depending on your distance from the initial rectangle, it will determine how fat your character is. Then you add a bit of curvature to your torso to make it look more organic. Now for the fit guy, you want to draw a rectangle and a triangle. Now the triangle itself will determine how muscular your character is. The bigger it is, the more muscular your character is, and vice versa. Now the triangle shape is made by 2 muscles, which are the serratus muscle and the latissimus dorsi. This is where they are located. Now you draw the box for the neck. This is where things get interesting. On the neck, you want to draw 2 triangles next to the box. Now these triangles are formed by the trapezius muscles on your back, and depending on their height and size, they determine how muscular your character is. Now we can repeat the process again that we used for the earlier torso. Belly button, pecs, bottom third, middle top third. So when you draw the arms, I'll put a card here for the tutorial on how to draw arms. You want to make the delts big. The delts are the shoulder muscles, by the way. Now we move on to the pecs or the chest. On the bottom third of your upper third of your torso, you want to make a point right on the edge. These points are more like vanishing points we covered on the previous video. From the bottom corner of your chest, you want to draw a curved line going straight to your VP. Now before you do the same thing for the upper inner corner, you want to draw a collarbone. Now slightly below it, you want to draw a line that goes straight to your VP again. And just like that, you separated your chest successfully. I'd prefer you make these separation lines thin. Now if you want to add a bit more striations, Samsulek fans or Sebum fans know what I'm talking about. Then you want to draw 2 faint lines in the middle peg going towards the vanishing point, 3 faint lines, top and bottom pegs going towards the vanishing point, and just like that you have a striated chest. Draw less of these lines if your character has the chubby muscular build, and draw these lines a bit darker if your character is flexing the chest hard. Now below your pecs on the edge of this rectangle, you want to draw curved lines that are getting smaller and smaller, 4 of them to be precise. Now in between these lines, you want to draw lines that are actually a bit more straight than the curved lines you just drew, right in between them. And just like that, you just drew the serratus muscles, which 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17-year-old me couldn't draw. Lastly, we have the abdominals, which there's no clear blueprint because I have an 8 pack, you might have a 6, and your neighbor might have a 4. I just recommend you draw a really long trapezium. You separate it on the middle with a line, and then you decide how many abs you want your character to have. The abs usually go from biggest to smallest, the smallest ones being on top and the biggest ones being at the bottom. Now with your ice cube tray sorted, you just want to make everything a bit more curved and organic, and you're pretty much done. By the way, for the neck box, you want to draw a little VU shape there. Now with the male torso out of the way, you can move on to the female torsos. They are not too different from the male torsos, just that the women have narrower or less wide shoulders. Also in general, they tend to have smaller waists than men. Now there are 2 ways you can make the waist look smaller. One is that you can make the middle third of your torso go a bit inward, and 2 is that you can make the bottom third of your torso go a bit more outward. Now the torso of a muscular woman isn't too different from the torso of a muscular man, but the bottom 2/3 are where the differences are. Usually they have smaller waist, even smaller waist than usual, and the bottom third of their torso is wider. But that about wraps it up. So you waited and you waited and you watched, so I'm going to give you what you waited and watched for. Yeah, we're drawing the version without the bra first, so we understand how physics affects them. Please don't make it weird. Now let's start with the smaller, firmer versions because I feel like they will help us understand the structure a bit more. They tend to look like cones in the middle to lower peg because that's where the nipples are. Now as they get bigger, they carry more fat, and more fat is affected by gravity. Now assuming that they maintain their firmness as they get bigger, the sagging will happen a lot at the bottom compared to the top. So side view, you might see a barely noticeable dip. Now the less firm ones will look like this, a bit less conical and a bit more curved. This is the small version, by the way. Now as they get or accumulate more fat, they, just like the first ones, will get saggier at the bottom, but because of the extra fat content, the tape will be pushed a bit more forward because they take up a bit more space now. This will make them look a bit more firm compared to the smaller ones. This is arguably the most important part because the size will determine where they are on the peg. The smaller breast is more or less on the outermost part of the peg. This is because the nipple is there. Now as they get bigger and bigger, they occupy more of the lower and middle peg. Now this is how you draw them front view. The firm one will curve outside briefly and curve in. The less firm one will curve outside longer and then curve in. And keep in mind, these are made mostly from fat, so their shape can change easily. That's it for today's video. Here's your free gift, by the way. You can click it on the link down below, and I'll see you in the next video.